Good evening. Oh wait, we'll try this again. Hold on. Good evening. I do this with my students every day, and I have to do it twice with them every day, so it comes as no surprise. But anyway, good evening, everyone. My name is Mr. Dixon. I will be your MC for the evening, and it gives me a great honor to see each of you here and to familiarize you with our exciting project learning-based experience sponsored by the Department of Environmental Protection. It's under the supervision of Miss Elspeth Koehle, whose office is right here in downtown Meadville. Now, this project-based experience is emerging as MAMS Recyclkings. Our MLK students have planned the first of 2 meetings, to that of which they're holding with Miss Elspeth, and one is today, and the next will be on March 5th. Students are also planning related activities. Our students will be working directly with the Lincoln Recycling Company, Seven Mountains Media, Shamrocks Companies, and Cool 101.7 FM. MLK students are in charge of this program, and they are anxious to get started. Now, we ask that you respect the no cell phone policies, but we also want to remind you that students do have parental permission for photographs. Now, today's meeting is being televised by Mr. Kevin Tomney with Armstrong and reported by the Meadville Tribune. We are being assisted today by Mr. Jim Shields from the Meadville Dr. Martin Luther King Scholarship Fund. Now, Anastasia, the Vice President of MAMS Recyclkings, will you please come and do the welcome for everyone, please?
Welcome to each of you for attending our first event with Mrs. Elspeth Koehle, our Regional Coordinator from the Department of Environmental Protection. We are honored to have our Superintendent, Dr. Jennifer Golden, our Principal, Mr. Jonathan Fry, our esteemed collaborators, and our parents and families. Today, we expect to tell you about our project-based plans for the year, and we invite you to make suggestions for our improvements as we move forward after this first meeting.
Thank you, Anastasia. Now, Isabella, Production Manager in MAMS Recyclkings, would you please lead the Pledge of Allegiance in sign language? Miss Bonnie Guffey, our sign language teacher, has taught our students how to say the pledge in sign language. Bella?
May the MLK Sign Language class please stand and go head to the flag. Will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Thank you, Bella, and the MLK students. Special thanks to Miss Guffey on our sign language teacher as well. Now, we have a great deal of talent in our program. One such is that we have 2 MAMS outstanding musicians, Anastasia and Jocelyn, who will now perform and play a selection for you. Ladies, Thank you very much, ladies. That was very nice. Now, the students, the staff, and I have had the pleasure early on meeting with Ms. Elspeth Koehle, the regional coordinator for the Department of Environmental Protection, who congratulated our students on this project-based experience of learning about environmental protection. She's here today to share with us some information and to be in the conversation about the department and what we must all do to bring about environmental justice. So with that being said, Ms. Koehle, please. Would you like this mic also? Yeah. There you go. Just turn it on when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you're enjoying your dinner. I have a brief PowerPoint presentation for you all. Let me just get it pulled up here. Thank you. Okay, so the grant that we're working together on is called a government to government grant. The grant was given to the DEP from the EPA, and then we were able to disseminate those funds out to different community-based organizations such as yours. So we're calling this Pennsylvania, Engaging New Voices in Environmental Justice. And as I said, the presentation is made possible by the EPA. So what is the DEP? Who are we and where are we? The DEP is a environmental regulatory agency specific to Pennsylvania. The Department of Environmental Protection is responsible for administrating Pennsylvania's environmental laws and regulations. It's also committed to general environmental education and to encourage effective public involvement in setting environmental policy. At the federal level, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency handles environmental oversight. At the state level, the DEP plays that role. So this is our mission statement. Does anyone feel like I need to read this whole thing to you, or can you all see it just fine? You can see it? Okay. All right, so that's our mission statement, and I think it's a good thing, and it helps all Pennsylvanians have equal rights to clean water, clean air, etc. So these are our pillars, if you like, and each one has its own little description. So public service, we act in a manner that is fair, efficient, responsive, open, and honest in service of Pennsylvania's environmental resources and all residents, especially the most vulnerable. Environmental stewardship, we foster and encourage the responsible use of Pennsylvania's natural environment and protection of public health through sound regulatory and policy decision making. We consider, communication, provide timely and accurate information to all relevant internal and external partners. So everyone in this room is an external partner of ours because what we do affects everyone. We evaluate policies and processes to embrace and cultivate creativity, scientific advancements, innovation, and partnerships. And we meet our obligations and accept responsibility while striving to achieve consistent outcomes for all. So those are kind of the pillars we base our work on. Our vision is to be a model environmental agency that moves at the speed of business and leads the way in science, innovation, and best practices to ensure clean air, land, and water for the health and safety of present and future generations. So these are some of the programs that these are the programs that the DEP runs. So we have all our water programs, whether it's waterways and wetlands or if it's clean drinking water. And then we have waste, air, radiation, and remediation. So remediation is probably a big word for some of the younger kids in the room, but that basically means that when industry is done in an area and they've kind of made a mess in that area, then the DEP can kind of oversee the cleanup efforts and make sure that the site can be safe and used again in the future for something else. Active in abandoned mines, there are a lot of those in this part of Pennsylvania, and then the oil and gas industry we cover. So each regional office has every one of these programs in it, and the Meadville office, of course, is one of those offices. So our main headquarters is located in Harrisburg at the Rachel Carson State Office Building. It's a beautiful building, great views and all that, but it is a heck of a drive from Meadville. We have our South Central office. So there's like 2 offices in Harrisburg. And then we have our Norristown office. So there's an OEJ, or Office of Environmental Justice coordinator, in each one of these offices. So one of my counterparts lives and works down there in Norristown. There's the Northeast Regional Office over there in Wilkes-Barre. I never know if I'm pronouncing that right. Is it Wilkes-Barre or Wilkes-Barre? Don't know. North Central Regional Office in Williamsport. And then there's us right there in Meadville. And those other stars you see around, that's the Pittsburgh office. But we have district mining offices also. So they're kind of, sprinkled around the state also. There's our district offices: Newcastle, Knox, Moshannon, Scranton, Reading, Altoona, Cambria, and Pottsville. So what is the DEP? The functions and operation everyday life in the DEP. So the DEP develops the regulations, policies, and guidance documents, reviews and permits certain environmental activities. We inspect operations for compliance with PA environmental laws and regulations, and we respond to environmental incidents. We administer grants, like what we're doing tonight. We engage with the public. You guys are publics. And we promote climate-friendly issues like energy efficiency. So how do we work? So, the regulatory process. An industry like a recycling plant, airport, or power plant must execute a project. So, what do they need to do to get that project up and running? Maybe they want to build a brand new facility. So this industry will have to apply to the DEP and let us know exactly how they plan to execute their project. Then that applicant will pay a fee and they'll get a review of their application. Staff at the DEP will do a technical review, making sure the industry plan is scientifically sound. There's also a completeness review where the DEP makes sure that they did their paperwork correctly, and sometimes we investigate the social impact of the project on the surrounding community, and that's a lot of what my job entails. In certain cases, the DEP will also provide education to the community on how a project may affect them, and will take feedback and comments from the community on what about the project might concern them. So that's a lot of my job also. If the application and the proposed project pass the completeness and technical reviews, then the industry gets a permit from the DEP and they can execute their project. Please note that what we've explained here is a simplification of the process, and the process is obviously way more complex than just boom, boom, boom. So this gets into a little bit of why we do this, how our office came about, and a little bit of history of environmental justice. So this guy here, Franklin Curry, he was a legislator from Northumberland County, and he wanted to guarantee Pennsylvanians the right to clean air and water. So he started working with other environmental advocates, and he got Article 1, Section 27 amended to the state constitution back in 1971. On May 18th in 1971, Pennsylvania's voters, by a 4-to-1 margin, ratified what is now known as the Environmental Rights Amendment. And this is Article 1, Section 27, to protect Pennsylvania's air, land, and water from pollution and to provide for the health and safety of its citizens through a cleaner environment. We will work as partners with individuals, organizations, governments, and business to prevent pollution and restore our natural resources. Has anyone ever seen a map like this before? Anybody? You've seen it? Okay. So this is back around the New Deal time. And what we call these maps are red line maps. And it's an example of a historical injustice that is still affecting Pennsylvania's communities today. Redlined areas couldn't obtain funding and have lower values that are seen to this day for housing. The descriptions on redline maps expressly relate to race and income. So this is a map of Pittsburgh's redlined areas. And as you can see right there, the blue arrow is pointing to, this is where they're, and it's horrible language, but this is back in the early part of the last century, but Jewish threatening. So basically the red is the worst, and then the colors kind of get less bad as you go to the greens and the blues. Federal housing program established under the New Deal after the Great Depression to increase home ownership in the country and address housing shortages. However, these policies in the program mandated segregation, so that's why it's kind of color-coded like that. Geographic areas of a city were assessed and graded into 4 categories. So green areas are the best areas, and the red are hazardous areas. The underwriting manual of the Federal Housing Administration said that incompatible racial groups should not be permitted to live in the same communities. So redlined areas occupied by racial minorities and or low-class whites, quote unquote, were labeled as red or hazardous and were unable to obtain funding for housing. This has led to lower home values that are still seen today. And the descriptions on redline maps expressly relate to the race and income. So that is something that you might not think you can connect to environmental justice, but you'll see that it doesn't just affect home ownership or values, that it does affect where polluted areas and environmental injustice have gone down. So this one, the yellow area, is pointing to quote unquote Negro encroachment threatening. So that white area, back when these maps were made, is kind of suggesting, no, that's not somewhere you want to invest money in. And then here you've got this little blue area, and it says, this section is very spotty with Negro scattered throughout the best parts. So it's extremely racist, as you can see, and it's trickled down to 2025. So the verbatim surveyor descriptions, talking about these less desirable areas of towns, odors and noises from local industries. So there you go, kind of brings it back to the environmental stuff. Infiltration of colored and orientals, predominance of older, cheap cottages zoned for industries. Odors from factories, infiltration of orientals and colored, adjoining industrial area with attendant odors, smoke, etc., nearest to the industries, thereby being mainly occupied by wage-earning families. So these were poor parts of town, divested in, and I live in Erie, and you can still see, and I'm sure it's the same here in Meadville, that you can see. So the after effects of practices like this. So these are two maps. The one on the left is Philadelphia. So underlying, you kind of see the two shades of red there. The underlying is old redlined areas, and then that red on top are basically the areas where industry and pollution are completely disproportionate to the rest of an area. So EPA Region 3 did an analysis overlaying EJ screen indicators and the red line maps with some Pennsylvania cities. So two examples here are Philadelphia and York. For Philadelphia, the overlay is for diesel particulate matter, and for York, the overlay is for proximity to hazardous waste facilities. So both the Philadelphia and York overlay maps for PADEP show considerable intersections of red line areas with locations that now face potential environmental justice concerns. In Philadelphia, 300 of 631, or 48% census block groups that meet the 90th percentile or higher for the EJ index for diesel particulate matter overlap with redlined areas. In York, 18 of 22, or 82%, of the census block groups that meet the 90th percentile or higher for the EJ index for hazardous waste facilities. Proximity overlap with the redlined areas. So these results constitute preliminary findings. These maps show possible correlations, not causations. Nonetheless, these examples emphasize the persistence of environmental hazards in demographically vulnerable areas that bear legacies of discriminatory zoning systems. So, roots of EJ in Pennsylvania. So the modern environmental justice movement in Pennsylvania. People started organizing in Chester, down south of us, in the early 90s. Then an environmental risk study by the EPA in conjunction with the DEP occurred in 1993. Chester residents, they call themselves CIRCLE, it's their acronym, that's what they call themselves, lawsuit against the DEP in 1996. And then the DEP Environmental Justice Work Group, created in 1999, they make reports and recommendations, and that was released in 2001. So an executive order on environmental justice was issued on October 28th, 2021, permanently establishes my office and formally establishes the Environmental Justice Advisory Board, and it creates an Environmental Justice Interagency Council and outlines activities that executive branch agencies should take to further environmental justice goals. So we are trying to kind of integrate environmental justice into other state agencies across the board. And here's a nice little timeline of environmental justice in Pennsylvania, or across the U.S., I should say. So, is it surprising to anyone how late this started? Because it kind of always surprises me that environmental justice, no one, I mean, not no one, but it just surprises me that until, I mean, the 70s, there wasn't much movement on this front. But I don't know, that's just me. It kind of surprises me to see that. But as you can tell, the environmental movement and the civil rights movement almost kind of overlap. So I think, you know, people were really starting, you know, not just starting, but really trying to get more involved and right a lot of the wrongs of the past, not just environmental issues. So this is a very long definition. I'll leave it up there for a minute for you guys to read. You can still see that in the back. You see it all right? So our other bureaus that we include, well, there's clean water, safe drinking water, waterways, and wetlands. So water has a lot of different bureaus to it. But so here's some day-to-day issues affecting environmental justice communities. So Pennsylvania's climate is heating up, bringing warmer, wetter conditions overall, while climate change impacts are happening around the state. Historic and persisting socioeconomic inequities mean that some Pennsylvanians are more vulnerable to climate impacts because of where they live, the type of home they live in, their income level and degree of mobility, and other factors. So what climate change means for you: more flooding, more severe storms, and longer heat waves. In the community, clean, healthy air is essential to good health and the environment. The DEP works to prevent and minimize air pollution caused by a variety of sources, from power plants and boilers to the cars and trucks we drive. Daily air quality issues affecting your life. EJ communities have a higher propensity to develop asthma. Pennsylvania's air quality has been and will continue to be affected by wildfire smoke, including from Canada, and poor indoor air quality due to mold growth, asbestos, and lead, among others, disproportionately affect EJ communities that live in urban and older environments. There are over 500 million pieces of litter on Pennsylvania's roads. Litter is also polluting our neighborhoods, parks, streams, and rivers, and countryside and wetlands. Trash and litter can affect our day-to-day lives in many ways. Trash left in communities can bring odors and unwanted pests, you know, bugs and other things. Littered burning cigarette butts can fly into the open window of another car and cause fires, and litter can cause accidents when vehicles try to avoid roadway litter, making unsafe maneuvers. Illegal dumping and littering. So I'm really proud of the kids and their Recyclkings program, because it's a huge problem. And the more we encourage young people and all people to not litter and to properly throw things out, the better off our planet will be, and especially starting locals, where you got to start. So according to Keep Pennsylvania Beautiful, there are at least 6,500 illegal dump sites in Pennsylvania. According to a DEP report, there are approximately 502.5 million pieces of litter on Pennsylvania's roadways, predominantly single-use materials like cigarette butts and plastic bottles. The goal of DEP's litter action plan was to prevent littering through the development and implementation of a research-based plan of recommended actions that can be used statewide to change littering behavior over time. So start young and keep it up all through your lives. When exposed to high temperatures and decomposition within a dump site, these items can catch on fire quickly. Since many illegal dump sites are in more rural areas, these dump site fires can spread to the surrounding habitat and lead to wide-scale forest fires. Air quality impacts of trash and dumping. So construction, demolition debris, bricks and old cement are one of those things that gets illegally dumped. Contractors dumping empty paint containers and other paint materials, beauty parlors and nail salons. It could be hair extensions or chemical and shampoo bottles. Restaurants, the styrofoam boxes they use, and statistics say mostly that it's litter from patrons and not the staff themselves. And then the unhoused and people suffering from addiction. So you've got needles, cigarette butts, and empty alcohol beverage bottles. So, once again, I'm Elspeth. I'm working in the Meadville office, and there I am right there at the top left. I want to thank you guys all. These are the other regional offices and my coworkers in the OEJ. And then here are the folks that work in Harrisburg and a few other places around the state that have a little bit different roles than we do. But we're all on the same team and we are all on the same mission. So thank you, and I appreciate it. That's my presentation. Thank you.
That's all right.
Oh, let me turn that off.
Thank you, Ms. Koehle, in preparation of our next meeting as well. We'll provide you with feedback from this meeting, of course. Jocelyn, Recyclkings president, will tell us about the company's business plan that was presented to Mr. Fry. Jocelyn?
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. The Meadville Area Middle School is one of the best middle schools in Pennsylvania. It is innovative and does not stop growing. To further its growth, the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Mentoring Program will establish a recycling company so that we contribute more towards environmental protection. The name of our organization is MLK Recyclkings. Our mission is to promote recycling in our school, home, and community. We will work collaboratively with other students, MAMS staff and teachers, and MLK parents and Lincoln Recycling Company. We will implement strategies for the long-term benefits to the entire community. We will also work directly with the Department of Environmental Protection's Northwest Regional Office, 230 Chestnut Street in Meadville, Pennsylvania. We will follow Lincoln Recycling guidelines and collaborate with local businesses and industry, such as Cuswago Square and Accutech Precision Aerospace. Dr. Armendia Dixon will teach the environmental classes. Dr. Nancy Smith will teach communication. Miss Rachel LaRoche will teach workplace skills. Mr. Jim Miale will teach leadership skills. Mr. Jim Shields will teach marketing skills. Mr. Harrison Dixon will coordinate the DEP program. Students will only do project work during advisory time as approved by the principal. Students will be given dividends as per the agreement with DEP. I look forward with working with all of you. I hope I can successfully lead this company. Thank you.
Thank you, Jocelyn, for presenting the ambitious business plan. We believe that under your leadership, the company will in fact be successful. Now at this time, I would like to introduce Henry, the Director of Human Resources in the company, who will introduce the officers and the employees. Henry. Let's go slow.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. It is my pleasure to introduce the officers and employees in MAMS Recyclkings. Will you stand as I introduce you and remain standing until all have been introduced? Please hold applause until the end. In our production team, we have our production manager, Bella Lutton. From our production employees, we have Ben Kaiser, Elijah Rosado Husband, Levi Hamrick. From our marketing team, we have the marketing manager, Patience Owens. From the marketing employees, we have Charlene Davey, Brendan Bala, and May Ream. In our events team, our events manager, Daryl Wineski. And our events employees, Sierra Wineski, Eve Ream, Jariah Owens. Yours truly, the Human Resource Director, me. Our Treasurer, Gavin Kerr, our Vice President, Anastasia Pilka, and our President, Kathy Hart.
Fine. Take your paper. Thank you, Henry. And we appreciate that you had the opportunity to interview Ms. Rachel LaRoche, the human resources person contact at Accutech Precision Industries, to learn how well to do a job. Now, the MLK program, whose partners are the MLK Scholarship Board, Allegheny College, the Crawford Central School District, it has been monitored by the Pennsylvania Department of Education as one of the best after-school programs in the state of Pennsylvania. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, this program's success is built around support from our superintendent, Dr. Galden, the Crawford Central School District Board of Education, and the Meadville Area Middle School Administration staff and teachers. And at this time, the president has a special presentation to make. So Jocelyn, if you would come to the podium yet again, please.
Dr. Galden, may you please come forward? On behalf of our MLK families, staff, and our company, it is my pleasure to present this plaque to you. It reads, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Mentoring Program, Meadville Area Middle School, Meadville, Pennsylvania. Thanks, Dr. Jennifer Galden, for your belief in the success of all students, parent engagement, and your unwavering support of the after-school innovative that brings together collaborators from business, industry, and nonprofits. Thank you. I also have this drawing that I had made and all of our students had signed.
Thank you. Hang that in my office. Thank you.
Thank you, Jocelyn. The MLK Mentoring Program, students and parents are privileged and honored to have the support of our principal, Mr. John Fry. We call upon him at this time to bring some remarks and close out our first meeting with Ms. Koehle. Mr. Fry?
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. At some point, I'm going to learn that anytime Dr. Dixon invites me to a program, I'm going to eat and I will have to speak, which this is a difficult part for me. But I tell you what, I am so excited for these students, and I am very excited to share the amazing work that is happening at MAMS with the Recyclkings, our school's recycling program. Through collaboration with the MLK Mentoring Program, the Department of Environmental Protection, Lincoln Recycling, Shamrock Company, Seven Mountain Media, Cool 101 FM, Armstrong Cable, and the Meadville Tribune, students are learning how to run their own business while helping the environment. How cool is that? With MAMS Recyclkings, students are practicing important skills like creativity, teamwork, public speaking, problem solving, decision making, research, and they even throw in some health and fitness. These skills are not only useful now, but will help them in the future as they grow into leaders and innovators. Thank you to our special visitors, Ms. Elspeth Koehle, Lincoln Recycling, Andrew Lincoln, Seven Mountain Media, and Cool FM 101, Jim Shields, Meadville Tribune, Mike Crowley, Armstrong Cable for filming this event, and Crawford Central School District with Dr. Jennifer Gelden. Thank you to everyone who will make this program a success. Together, we're building stronger connections between learning, our community, and protecting the planet. Dr. Dixon also said that it was my obligation now to also end the program for the evening. So at this time, I would also like to thank everybody for braving the winter conditions out here. And at this time, this concludes our presentation. Give everybody a round of applause for coming tonight. And we will see everybody March 5th
Yes.
for our wrap-up. All right, thank you.